Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about Turbo Boost, what I would likely buy, and or help you decide what you should buy for Turbo Boost with your first dinar, which is coming out tomorrow, and clarify on a couple things also about Boost, ways to optimize this and that, and everything of the sort. Now, I did indeed make a video on this about a week or so ago. A couple things have changed and or been clarified on since then, so I want to hit on it really briefly here, not take half an hour to do it, and then we'll look at items in game and talk about what I am considering, what I'm going to buy first, and what you guys probably consider buying first as well. From a Warlock POV, it probably works pretty universally based on the thought process of what we're going to talk about here. Also, shameless plug, if you can do me a huge favor and like the video and consider subbing to the channel as well. We're pushing for 100k subs this year, so if you would and or could consider subbing, I'd love you. But honestly, like I said last video, I love y'all anyways. But yeah, I greatly appreciate it. Shameless plug aside, let's get it going. Okay, so Boost is coming out on the 13th, which is tomorrow. This video is coming out on Monday. I'm filming it Sunday. Is what it is. We talked about it already. So you're getting dinars. They're uncapping crests. Valor stones are warbound or account wide now. You can buy one item with a dinar on Tuesday. We're doing the quest. The quest is somewhere in the game, I'm not sure where exactly, but you basically need to kill 4 raid bosses or 4 Mythic Quest dungeons. Just go queue LFR. It takes 10 minutes. 4 dungeons take 2 hours. Go queue LFR for this. It doesn't matter. I believe it's just any bosses, doesn't matter difficulty or whatever, to get the first quest done to get your first dinar. Now, I'm not talking about whether I like or don't like dinar systems, all that stuff at this point. I'm just saying what is happening on Tuesday. Don't get mad at me. I didn't make the rules. It is what it is. I'm just talking about how it's going to work, okay? I agree. Probably should be a little more accessible, but it is what it is. The vendor should be Consultant Rexel in Dorangal, which is sitting right here. There you go, around the Great Vault. Yep, and these things will cost 3 puzzling cartel chips. Now you're getting 3 chips tomorrow. You're getting they change it so you're getting 1 dinar's worth, or dinar. You're getting 3 chips on Tuesday. Then subsequent chips are going to be 1 a week. So dinar or chip 2 and 3 are going to be later on. I think 3 weeks later and 3 weeks later again, so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to buying gear, like we know, you need to kill mythic bosses to buy mythic gear. They will have both heroic and mythic gear in the vendor. Let me see. In order to purchase specific gear from the vendor, you must have killed at least one of the boss. Odd phrasing, but at least 1 kill of the boss on any difficulty for a heroic item. So as long as this is correct when it goes live, you can kill Vexy or Gallywix, any boss on LFR, and walk in and buy a hero version of that item. However, if you want the mythic version, mythic difficulty kill is required. For example, a player wanting to purchase mythic level diamond needs to kill mythic Gallywix. There you go. But a heroic diamond can kill it on raid finder, normal, or heroic. I thought this was a you have to kill the boss on heroic thing. Apparently, it's got to kill it any difficulty. And there is that. I think there's a decent flaw with this. We'll get to that in a little while with gearing and things too. A lot of gear listed here you can buy from the bosses. Weapons, trinkets, no like, unless they add this later on, no like belts, bracers, boots, or anything weird like claw, like armor-esque pieces. Basically weapons, trinkets. Sprocket Monger Cloak is here, which is worth considering, because it does indeed come at 6 out of 6, or it'll be 6 out of 8, I guess, upgrade-wise here, if you're doing Mythic. Myth track here, or even heroic will be 6 out of 6 or 6 out of 8 at that point also. But yeah, basically trinkets, weapons, all that in the raid. There's also the option of buying things from M+. Now, I don't know if they clarify in M+ here, but if you want to buy myth items from M+, yeah, here we go. Heroic and mythic track, you have their own upgrade tracks, whatever, increased by 2. Yeah, they don't clarify actually on this, but basically, if you want to buy these at myth eye level, you have to complete all 12s of every dungeon it's the same thing as like the achievement, I guess, for the 12 resilient thing, whatever, to be able to buy the items from M+, which are basically, actually they are all just trinkets here. I believe hero ones are just, I think you can just buy them naturally. I'm not totally sure there, but yeah, so a bit of clarification on those. The best thing to do right now, I've talked about it on a stream, and in that video a week ago, just stockpile Valor Stones. They are transferable, so you're going to be able to transfer these around from one character to the other whenever the reset hits. I keep calling it a patch, but just the reset hits on Tuesday. There's a 25% penalty to transfer doubloons or Valor Stones from one character to the other, so if you're capped on your main character, I just spend down before you start doing M plus so you don't overcap a whole lot. Transferring them off and then back is probably too much. But if you have a handful of alts that have like, 300-400 crests on them, and you want to feed your main initially, I just feed your main, right? Just do that, send them from your alts to your main. You should be good to go. So there is that. Besides that, talked about it as well, but keep in mind, you can also convert these crests down here. You can convert these things. I mean, I believe it's 27 weathered crest essentially converts to 1 gilded. I think it's 9 carved convert to 1 gilded essentially. This is what 3 to 1, something like that, give or take. But I have a bunch of these from just doing random stuff over the course of the patch so far. So I think I have, with the caps being removed and all that, and not acquiring any through like dungeon and things on Tuesday, I think I'm sitting at like 160 gilded. I can just convert everything to roughly, give or take. And I have a handful of Valor Stones on some turd-based alts and stuff too that I can, transfer over also. So there is that. Now, as far as getting into what you should buy, this is more from a Warlock POV. I'm going to hit on 4 or 5 items here, and it's important to keep in mind that everyone's gear varies. I think the biggest issue with this system is that it's requiring mythic boss kills for mythic items. And I mean, that's all fine. It is what it is, whatever. I won't say it's fine, but it is what it is. But a lot of people are in a spot where they're progressing, like One Arm Bandit. They're progressing Muggsy. Probably not Galley, because Fight's pretty undertuned, but they're progressing these 2 bosses here, and they don't have a House of Cards at all. Right? And they're working on Mythic One Arm Bandit, and their question is, should I buy Heroic House of Cards for Mugs or for Bandit prog, and then, kill it, and then I can buy it later on or whatever? I mean, the answer, my opinion on that is just no. Now, obviously, having a House of Cards over a Signet of the Priory or some other suboptimal trinket comparatively to House of Cards being, for Warlock House being BIS, for a lot of classes being BIS, would be an increase. However, I think one of the biggest flaws with the system is that you can't really take, if I buy a Heroic House of Cards from the doubloon vendor or whatever, the dinar guy, I can't upgrade this. As unfortunate as it is, it's just the world we live in. Now, I mean, if you want to spend 1 dinar on Heroic, then buy one later on from Mythic, if that's the case. I guess you could do that, but I don't think it's really optimal. As far as items that I'm looking at, not even just like from what I want, but from what are higher priority on this list, keep in mind, once again, as far as gearing is concerned, or dinars are concerned, it's just weapons, trinkets, and the rare cloak. Oh, as well as the Gallywix ring, obviously. The big items are all from these last bosses here, basically. Sprocketmonger Cloak is nice. It's baseline 6 out of 6. It'll be 6 out of 8 when the actual event begins, Turbo Boost. It will save you crest if you have like a baseline cloak. I actually have a cloak on that I haven't upgraded because cloaks are pretty bad when it comes to just raw value for crest being spent. I've had it on since week 2 of the patch, I'm pretty sure, when I killed the boss on Mythic. I just have never upgraded it because whatever. I'm probably just going to craft a cloak and move my embellishment over here. But if you're not doing that for whatever reason, this is worth considering, but not for your first dinar. Cloaks are a lesser value overall. It has 3k imp in this thing at 678 versus Children's having 4k, chest having 5.5k. They're not high value items, right? Same thing as bracers, and even like boots and belts are a bit lesser too, right? So it's on the list of possibilities if you acquire other items through just re-clearing over the next few weeks. So keep in mind, the first item you buy here, I mean, it's going to be an item you don't have, right? But you're going to have 3 dinars total. Now, if you're lucky enough to have like a Mythic House of Cards or Mythic, I have Kazan already. You have 2 less items you need to buy, essentially. But the big ones I'm looking at buying, and most locks should be, the cloak is consideration, whatever. You've got House of Cards, you've got Muggs' Moxie Jar, and you've got I have Kazan / Jaster Diamond. Now, we're going to break all these down here. Number 1, if you don't have a Jaster Diamond, this is very high priority. I don't have one. Right now, I can run sims for you and say, oh, well, if you have a priory at this level versus, this and that, maybe House of Cards is better or worse. But Jaster Diamond's baseline effect is just very strong. It's obviously a max 6 out of 6 ring. These do not go to 8 out of 8 when they drop or are purchasable from the vendor. Also, in boost week, they're going to be 6 out of 8, what they're on PTR. But getting this effect on your character is strong. This is like Over these two rings here, for me, Jasper Diamond is a 29,000 DPS increase for destruction still. It is exceptionally strong getting this effect, the take credit effect, on your character somehow. Whether it's heroic or mythic, even in the race to world first, a lot of people were just using warbound ones that dropped from heroic galley kills, or even normal kills. People were using like LFR-based ones early on just for that raw effect. It's very, very strong. Now, comparatively, looking at things like House of Cards, Muggs' Moxie Jug, I have Kazan. These are all good trinkets for sure. I have Kazan is one that gains stacks in combat, but it loses stacks really quickly when you're out of it. So when it comes to like priority overall here, I have Kazan's like, as far as like if you're throwing in Jasper Diamond, I have Kazan, Muggs Moxie Jar, and House of Cards. Not throwing this in, just, you know. I have Kazan's the lowest for me. It's good on longer fights, those 6, 7, 8 minute fights. It's very good. Important to keep in mind as well, Destro pretty much plays double equipped too, for the most part in most fights this tier. I'm currently playing House of Cards and Heroic Jugs. I have a higher House of Cards, but having Mythic I have Kazan and Mythic Jug will likely be the end tier goal for Destro, unless things change a bit. But that's for rating. For M+, I have Kazan is not very good. Stacks drop very fast out of combat. Even if you maintain them for a while, somehow the single target fire effect is pretty, yeah, you're not really gonna hit that in the first place. So as far as M+ is concerned, I have Kazan, not very strong. Diamond though, good in rating, good in M+. Getting its effect on your character is very, very strong. Muggs Moxie Jar, also to a similar extent. Passive intellect here, and just a equip, hey, when this procs, you gain crit, go into a frenzy. This does indeed stack with hot and dot-based effects as well. It was added in towards the later end of PTR, so it's very good for Affliction. It's just good in general. Destro plays it, Af plays it, Emo plays it. It's good in M+, it's good in rating, it's good basically everywhere. It's a passive crit effect with intellect. These trinkets, hey, give me some crit, give me some int, perfect, that works. Muggs' Moxie Jar, very high on the list. If you have Jasper Diamond, it's very, very high. This is very, very high up there with House of Cards. If you got a Diamond already, your choice is basically going to be Muggs' Moxie Jar or House of Cards, pretty much. House of Cards is good. Now, Signet the Priory, also a solid option from M+. The problem with Signet is that, number one, you can't sim, unless they added this recently, you can't sim the party bonuses you get from Priory, from Signet, right? At the same time, Signet is good. A 2-minute on use, based on intellect, increasing your highest secondary stat by X amount for 20 seconds. Now, you can sort of play and choose in a sense what your highest secondary stat is, but at times, it's not always going to be the one that you want the most out of whatever. If you run sims with like gems and enchants, all that, it will take what you can into account and maybe skew that if it's worth skewing somewhere. But pushing your highest secondary stat, not always going to be the best gain comparatively to what it might be. Maybe my highest stat is haste, but I want mastery. House of Cards can bring mastery, for example. It really just depends. Also, the stacking effect of House of Cards makes things even stronger the more times you use it in combat, right? So Signet is a great option if you're looking for an on-use trinket from M+. And this is where things get interesting. So from the raid, summarizing all this, if you don't have Diamond, I'd buy a Diamond. Me personally, I don't have Diamond. If I didn't have anything, it would be based on what I have trinket-wise. But if you don't have Diamond, I would say get a Diamond, unless you're severely lacking in the trinket area. As far as these are concerned, if you already have a Signet of the Priory, House of Cards, and like you don't have House of Cards or Jug, I'd probably lean towards Jug. But I want to emphasize here, it's very, very important to run your own sims for your character. You can go to raidbots.com. You can literally take your character's info, like this, for example. Go to raidbots.com, plug in your character, drop optimizer, throw it in here. You can select the raid, whatever level you want, dungeons, whatever level you want, run a sim, and it will throw at you what is a gain, what is a loss to a similar extent. You can go in here, run a gear compare, throw it in here. Say, hey, I want to sim Eye of Kazan for whatever reason, whatever level you want, 678, right there, bam. You can do this and find the exact value for your characters. I can't tell you what you want exactly based on your own gearing, but I can say I've heard a lot of people talking about buying Eye of Kazan early on. I would probably not do that, just being honest. Now, there's also the issue, I guess, like the potential or M plus trinkets, talking about Signet the Priory and the new trinket, Entropic Skarden Core. We've talked about Entropic Skarden Core a lot over the past few days. I made a video on it a few days ago. I'd encourage you to watch it if you haven't, it'll make things easier to understand how core works, how you can game core games and play delay the effect, align it with cooldowns, so on and so forth, and get a better understanding of how Entropic Skarden Core functions. If you are looking at, say you have all of the heroic raid open, but you're not going to do mythic, and you have all of hero trinkets or even myth trinkets from M plus open, Entropic Skarden Core is honestly a pretty solid alternative to Eye of Kazan, even in a sense, Mugs' Moxie Jug. So for example here, if I put on Eye of Kazan, I have a heroic jug on and a mythic Eye of Kazan, and I'm playing Demonology, and I run a sim here with Entropic Skarden Core. Now, my Eye of Kazan's not maxed out. It's 671 in this sim. My jug is heroic. Let's do Entropic Skarden Core. Right, let's do 678. So you've done all your 12s, right? I do want to say here that I've heard jug gets under simming by about 1%. I'm not sure if it's true. Haven't verified it. Don't really care enough, but that's a possibility. I got a cough. We're back. You can run this sim. Entropic Skarden Core is actually good. I mean, I've seen around 40 to 45-ish % uptime. You can likely get higher if you hard game the trinket by kiting the orb around, not overstacking effects or doubling up in a sense. But I feel like it's a bit of a hard sell for me to say buy Skarden Core if you're in a certain spot. And you can see Skarden Core is an 11k, 12k increase over a 671 Eye of Kazan. It is 8.4k over a Mugs' Moxie Jug. Obviously, the longer the fight goes on, I gain more value. This is not next level either. But unlike Entropic Skarden Core has that it's baseline crit with intellect. It's not a weird stacking effect with a single target fire damage proc. It's just straight up, hey, you're getting it when you come in contact with this orb, and the orb is moved towards your character now. So there's been a lot of questions around Skarden Core, and it is a good option. However, it is a trinket that I think will. It's an interesting trinket that I think has a much higher potential upside in the hands of somebody that's going to game this trinket and kite the orb around if they need to prolong the effect, not double up, to save for CDs and things. But even in its baseline form, it's still very good. I think in Sims, I think you're looking at a 45-ish % uptime, 40-ish, 42, 45 in Sims, which is about what I've seen. Let me see here. Yeah, 42.36. which is about what I've seen in just stationary testing. But that effect can go even higher. Once again, if you're gaming it, if you're standing still and one procs and you can move to left or right, collect it, and then if another one spawns, you can kite it around to not double up on the effects, to save for your cooldowns. It's a higher high end than Entropic Skarden Core likely, but also it's sort of a hard sell. It's a trinket that got buffed recently, not a lot of data on it, and while the data is there, it's still sort of new. It hasn't been fully explored yet. So if you're factoring in Entropic Skarden Core to everything else in the raid, you should just run Sims for Mythic Signet versus Heroic House of Cards for your character. Honestly, it's probably pretty close. Might even just favor House of Cards still, based on mastery versus main stat DRing and things with highest stat from Signet. I would run Sims for House of Cards if you can buy a Heroic one versus maybe if you can buy a Myth Signet. But if you're factoring in Skarden Core as well, and you can't get that Mythic House of Cards, Mythic Mugs' Moxie Jug, and you're looking at doing both M+ and rating, Skarden Core could very well be the pick. But I'm saying this once again with as much caution as possible. It hasn't been fully looked at and or fleshed out yet. The Sims are there, it looks to function properly and all that, but spending your first dinar on a Skarden Core might be a tad risky. And obviously, if you don't have a Jasper Diamond from Galliobix, I would definitely look at getting that as well. But in my case, for example, so I don't have a diamond. I'm buying this tomorrow. If I had a diamond alongside whatever I have right now, I have a Mythic Eye of Kazan, I have a Mythic House of Cards, and I have a Heroic Mugs' Moxie Jug. I would be buying Mugs' Moxie Jug at Myth over an Entropic Skarden Core. Even with Skarden Core technically simming higher, Moxie Jug just feels more universally applicable, right? It's a baseline int trinket. When it procs, you get crit. I'm not chasing an orb down. RNG's RNG at times. The orbs do move to you as Garden Core. Garden Core has a higher high end, but likely also a bit of a lower low end, depending on RNG, depending on RPPM, depending on things happening. At times, you're going to be able to optimize around Entropic's Garden Core and kite the orb around until your CDs come up. You can then grab it, pop CDs, and crank. At times, you're not going to be able to. The cool thing about Jug, you don't really have to. You can just stand stationary with Core as well and have the orb come into you and all that kind of stuff, but it's just sort of a Mugs' Moxie Jug is universally applicable, it's consistent, and all of that. With that being said, though, if I acquire a Mythic Jug, let's say a week after or whatever, and I have a second dinar, I'm going to buy a Garden Core with my second dinar and see where it goes. If I open a Jaster Diamond in my vault, I might wait for Reclear and see if a Jug drops. If it drops and I get it, I very well might buy a Garden Core. I want to experiment more with it. It's a fun trinket. It's exciting. And once again, if you're not going into the raid, this is where the hard question is. If you're not going into the raid to kill mythic bosses, but you are doing M+, you're doing 12s and 13s and 14s, you've done them all, you've done them all, and you can go buy myth stuff, right? Entropos Garden Core is definitely a lot more in the question, in the conversation, than it is for somebody that's going to be killing Mythic Mugsy, Mythic Bandit, and able to buy those trinkets. So hopefully that helps make a better decision for y'all. I know it's still a bit of, what do? I don't know exactly. The best thing to do for your character is going to be running sims. 1000%. Run sims, make the best informed decision. But if I was going to rank all 5 of those items, excluding the cloak here, whatever, if I'm ranking like Entropos Garden Core, I have Kazan, Jasper Diamond, Jug, and House of Cards from best to worst for like probably universal buys. I'd put Diamond probably at number 1, unless your trinkets are just terrible. If they're terrible, it's going to be Diamond number 1, unless you have bad trinkets. 2 and 3 are going to be probably Jug and then House of Cards. You can get Priory, which is like decent compared to House of Cards. It's not as good, but, and then 4 and 5, if you're raiding and want to push a lot more or whatever, maybe I have Kazan. You're playing Destro. And then 5 probably Core. Probably Entropos Garden Core. But it varies a lot on everyone's own situation and scenario, which is why there's not a, hey, just buy this kind of thing, right? I have Kazan, very good in raiding on longer fights. Very bad in M+. Garden Core, sims higher, but in actuality, I'm not totally sure yet, right? Even when it comes to Diamond. Honestly, if you're still progging like Bandit and stuff and don't have a Diamond, but you have like heroic, like if you're progging Bandit, for example, and you're questioning, should I save my first dinar to buy like a Mythic House of Cards or Jug, and you have a heroic Jug and House of Cards already, but no Diamond, I buy a Diamond. Getting this effect in your character is very strong. So that's what I do. That's my thought process. I know it probably is a bit all over the place and like maybe rambly, but I wanted to hit on the points I think are important. It all depends on your own gearing, but those are the 4 or 5 items I'm looking at. And once again, with Garden Core, I think it's good. I think it's cool. And it honestly very well might end up being the most played trinket the longer the tier goes on. Like in the raid, if you can optimize around it. But that's the thing. It's still very early on, and committing 1 of your 3 dinars, let alone the first dinar, and then waiting 3 more weeks to buy an item again to a trinket like to an item like Garden Core, if you can also just buy a Jug or whatever, I would lean towards the Jug and go from there. So thanks for watching, guys. Wraps it up. Hopefully it gave you all a bit of a better idea as to what to buy with Boost. Like, it's gonna be one of those things, like I said, where honestly it just depends. It just varies. If you can wait to re-clear the raid and see if something drops and you get it, you don't need to spend a dinar on it, maybe do that. Obviously, wait to open your vault first, see what you get there. But getting a Diamond effect in your character, if you don't have it, very strong. If you're going to maybe kill a mythic boss in a few weeks, but you can use a heroic item to prog a boss, the question is, how bad do you need it, right? If I was in a spot where I'm progging Bandit, for example, and I don't have any House of Cards, and I can buy a heroic one, I'd be tempted. I think at this point, you probably just hold off. I'd probably just wait at that point. It sucks holding your dinar, but I think it's probably just worth at that point to buy the Mythic House of Cards or Jug or whatever. Gallywix is mostly free. You kill Mugsy, Gallywix dies in a couple nights, and unfortunately, one of the bigger flaws with the system is that they don't have any way to upgrade like an item you bought at heroic level to mythic, or hero to myth or whatever. So you're still in an odd spot of, okay, well, I did kill the boss of mythic, but yeah, I bought a heroic item to help prog it, and now it's just a dead item because I can farm spots every week, or I can just buy the trinket once again in 2 weeks because it's dead and mythic. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. That's that. But if you guys want any week horrors or add-ons or anything you saw in the video, links to Twitch, Discord, and the website up here, as well as down below. And like always, a massive thank you to my patrons, supporters on Patreon, y'all. Thank y'all a million times. I did update the Patreon recently as well with some couple of more perks and things, Discord stuff and all that, if you want to check it out. But in general, thank y'all a million times once again. Also, link up here as well as down below in the description if you want to look at supporting there. Yeah, so I mean, boost hits on Tuesday. I have a bunch of keys to farm, but I feel like I'm in as good of a spot as I can be. I've saved Crest, I've saved Valor Stones. I have some alts, transferring stuff over and all that. I think, honestly, I'm just excited for it. Get some player power coming in. The week after, also, Visions are here. A lot of player power being gained these few weeks. So, those raid bosses, if you're stuck at a bit of a DPS check, shouldn't be a check at all tomorrow. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch y'all again soon on stream. Peace.